And then later down in the road, it was reading a lot of books, going to seminars, and really doing a lot of soul searching, even therapy, understanding that I am enough, that I can pursue, and to be myself. And I think that inner critic that's telling us, can we be this thing that we love to do? Are we good enough? And it's that pushing forward and saying, well, yes, we are. Everybody has that voice, and you have to learn to push it aside.
S. Joe Downing, award-winning actor, filmmaker, and creative force. From over 40 film and web projects to a Best Actor win at the Hollywood Hills Film Awards for Nemesis, Joe is always pushing boundaries. Joining us today with your host, Kanisha Beyyond Beauty Pinkney. He shares his journey, his craft, and the mindset it takes to go beyond. Get ready to discover your creative identity. So Joe, I want to thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Beyyond. How are you?
I am good, even greater because you're here today. I have to say, just starting out, we had our pre-call, and I got to know a little bit about you, and I'm excited to dig into this topic with you today.
I'm excited too.
Awesome.
I'm open and willing, and let's dig in.
Hey, let's go. So, Joe, let's just get into it. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and what led you into acting.
Well, I'm a first-generation Korean American, born in the USA. I was actually born in San Bernardino and basically raised in Washington State. My father was in the military, and they separated, got divorced when I was 2. I went with my mom, raised by a single mom, and then all through life, basically just kind of growing up and understanding the nuances. And then what led me to acting was a couple of steps before that. I was an information security analyst working for an insurance company, wanted to do something creative. I was bored out of my mind, decided to go to college. Went to community college, and in the process of doing that, some student filmmakers were looking for a background. And I was like, oh, I'll give that a try. And there was a scene, it was in a church. They had the minister up front reading the Bible, and I swear to you, he had his script in the Bible. He had to have. And so I'm in the pew, I got a Kleenex, I'm trying to cry, I've never acted before, so I'm like, "What? Okay, just hold your tissue up." And I'm watching him, and he's like stumbling through his lines as he's looking at the script. And I saw that, and for something inside of me goes, I can do that. I might be able to do it better than him, but I can do that. And that's what launched that opening. And then I started looking for classes and workshops, and it started from there.
Oh man, so like one moment led to the next, and then boom, you're just open and exposed to this whole new world in film. Talk to us, what was it like for the first time that you were on set as a background extra? Like what stood out to you that made you feel like, oh yes, this is what I have to do? What clicked for you in that moment?
I think the inspiring part of it was fun. It was fun, and yet you were getting paid? You were working? You're like, wait a minute. I could pretend, and it tapped in, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, that's all we do is pretend. Yeah. But then when you grow up, you have to unlearn how to pretend and be a certain way. And it was, I think a lot of people in that circumstance have the rebel inside of them that says, no, I just want to be me. And that was part of it. That's the thing that I grew to love in acting is, number one, that you could be yourself. Obviously, you got to play a character, but you are still you, and you're having fun doing it. On top of that, the variety. You hear about people working a career of 30, 40 years. Well, back in the day. Now it's like 2 years. But it's that option of that variety of going, I can play this character, I could play that character, And then once you get to know who you are as a person, as a human being, then you realize what your strengths and weaknesses are and where you can kind of push forward into going these different avenues.
Awesome. You unpacked a lot there, especially with you. This is your first generation, right? So you're probably maybe the first actor in your family. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, ironically, so my father didn't raise me, but he was as a grandmaster martial artist. He's on the East Coast. And the weird part about it is he pursued acting when he was younger. And I didn't know that.
It's in
And
the
so
blood.
he tried to become a martial art choreographer and get into films and movies in that way. And it wasn't until years later it clicked. And he remarried. He's got stepkids, and I think my stepbrother, if you will. I'm not really close to them. I don't know them a whole lot, but he was in the one of the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, and he was trying to push his stepson into movie and acting and all that. He didn't want it. He didn't want to go into it. I'm like, well, obviously he would have, if we were all together, he'd be pushing me.
Yeah.
So it that nuance there kind of highlighted, oh, okay, so maybe it's a creative inheritance, maybe it's in our DNA, maybe, I don't know. So, but yes, other than that, I think I tried to get my mom to be in a casino commercial once, and she said no. And they were going to pay her, they're going to pay her $1,000. She was like, nope. People at church won't appreciate that. Like, okay.
Was that discouraging at all to have to have this encouragement, like, oh, maybe it's in my bloodline, but then maybe some folks not believing in you, going down this path? How did you manage to like separate those things from what you really wanted to do?
I think at a young age, my mother and I, we constantly butted heads. And I didn't have a father who really raised me. And so I was out looking for some kind of validation, some kind of inspiration and support. And it really turned to like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like self-help books,
Great books.
videos, even, I mean, just snippet and movies, huge part, obviously, right? So in order to learn how to be a man, you usually have that person in your life who can teach you how to be a man or a woman. And I didn't have a father. So what did I do? I watched movies. Movies helped me learn how to be a good man, a bad man, and that just the little bit of nuances. Obviously, I know it's all pretend, and that inner voice of you says, well, obviously that's not right. James Bond, yeah, he's cool and the way he does this and that. But there was a mannerism and maybe good behavior. There's a part of ethics of how he behaved, how proper he was, how he walked. That's the stuff that really impacted me in my life, was how do I hold myself in front of people? How can I be professional? Do I dress nice? Do I speak nice? Those are the things that really kind of affected me. And then later down in the road, it was reading a lot of books, going to seminars, and really doing a lot of soul searching, even therapy, understanding, that I am enough, that I can pursue, and to be myself. And I think we all struggle with that inner critic that's telling us, can we be this thing that we love to do? Are we good enough? And it's that pushing forward and saying, well, yes, we are. Everybody has that voice. And you have to learn to push it aside. I just took a seminar about a month ago. Actually, it's called Positive Intelligence. And it talks about your saboteurs, which is your inner voice that says you're not good enough, or maybe, that critical perspective that we all have. And it's learning how to push that aside and use what they call a sage perspective to kind of embrace who you are, embrace your differences, embrace your weaknesses, and highlight your strengths, and to really kind of grow that inner part of you and to be yourself. And I think that's the thing. There's a lot of, especially in this industry, acting, there's a lot of comparing. And that's the worst thing you can do, is compare yourself. I mean, I love acting. I'm 5'3". I'm short. I'm not a model.
Listen, you're mighty. All right, short but mighty.
But there's a funny. I mean, once you saw like Kevin Hart could make it, you're like, oh, I have a chance.
Oh, we all got a shot.
But that's the thing. It's like then you learn to embrace who you are and just go, okay, so I'm not that, but I can be something.
Yeah.
Let me just try. I think one of the highlights I need to share you a story with you is I did a film. It was a short film called Western Soul, and it was in Wyoming, and we were filming under the solar eclipse. And I went for the audition, and they said, I was like thinking, I'm Asian. It's a Western. Could I be in that? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe not. And so I auditioned to be one of the background the bad guy's crew, right? One of the sporting role, if you will, or just a small role. And the director's, Caucasian, white. They're like, have you ever thought about being the lead? And I was like, are there Asian leads in Westerns? I've never seen one. Could I be a lead? I'm like, I'm sure. And that's what they cast me as. I was the lead. And so those little bumps and steps, obviously it's a short film. It's not a big deal. But it gives you that encouragement. It gives you that support. And it says, it really solidifies that inner voice, like, you are worth it. You are enough. You can do what you need to do to grow, regardless of your height, your ethnicity, your age, the way you look, you can do it.
Hey, y'all, I just want to take a moment to really speak to you. Thank you for being here, for listening, for choosing to spend your time with Beyyond You Can Be. This isn't just content to me, it's purpose. This is about creating a space where creatives like you feel seen and pushed and reminded of who you truly are. And I mean that. And right now, we're on the road to 100 subscribers. And that may sound small to some people, but to me, it means we're building something real here, okay? It means this message is reaching who it's supposed to reach. So here's my promise to you. When we hit 100, I'm going to go even deeper for you. I'm dropping something so special, real value to help you not just stay inspired, but actually move in your craft and your career. Listen, if this podcast has ever spoken to you, shifted your mindset, or made you feel seen, I'm asking you to help me grow this. Share this with someone who needs it. But first, make sure you're subscribed, okay? We're building something special here, all right? I want you to be a part of it. So let's go beyond, okay? Back to the episode.
You are enough, and I love how you put that, right? And sometimes in life, people will see it before you do. And it pays to always be ready. So previously, prior to that moment, you were really passionate about film. You were watching film, whether you were leaning into it because you found comfort and support in it, or because you just found this new love for it. It started to build this confidence in you to the point where, hey, in your mind, you're going to always have that self-critic to tell you, hey, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're not tall enough. But then sometimes people from the outside can see things that you can't. And so, I'm sure that caused a shift in you in terms of how you perceived yourself in performance.
It definitely gives you courage. It gives you courage to go, what if? It could happen. I could play that role. Years ago, there was a student film. It never got made, but they were looking for an antagonist. He was a school teacher, and it was about a murder, and he's teaching kids about serial killers. Yeah. And I thought, I'm perfect for this role because no one would suspect that I'm the serial killer because I'm short. I could be a teacher, which was, plot spoiler. It was the teacher who was the serial killer. But, the typical serial killer look, tall, lean, or whatever, what we usually see. And I thought, I could totally hide this, Never got made. But I think it's that point where you just got to push your insecurities to the wind. I think here's a nuance. Women love tall men, right?
That's what
I'm
they
5'3".
say.
Do I have an advantage? No, I don't. I have a disadvantage. I didn't care. Probably most of the women growing up that I dated were all taller than me. I didn't have a choice. But it showed, hey, they accepted me for who I was, period. My wife, now, she's 6'1". I'm 5'3". Figure that one out. So...
Listen... I guess you listen, you more strong. Listen, you're strong in film. You're strong in the ladies. Okay, don't underestimate Joe now.
You got to be yourself. And obviously I've been picked on being short. I've been ridiculed. I've been teased. I mean, it's all part of it. But then what do you embrace as you grow up? You could let that insecurity seep in, or you can just kind of brush it off and go, nope, I'm not gonna go down that road. I am who I am. And I'm going to be around people who accept me for who I am. If you don't accept me for who I am, it's okay.
Absolutely. You have to choose a side, and you chose the side of just, hey, accept me as I am, my authentic self, which is the best side. So let's talk about you previously you touched base on just doing some training, some workshops. If you've taken some that you remember, what kind of preparation you feel helped you feel more confident after working in these workshops and trainings? Were there any specifics that you actually trained upon?
I did a wide variety. I mean, in Bellingham, I did a Ryan Stiles improv course that really helped. I love comedy, so I love to laugh. And, it is typical for a short guy to be in a comedy and understand that the shtick of that. And, but also looking at taking other acting courses. And, I was big into working out. I'm not as fit as I used to be when you have a family and kids. But because of the physique I had, I was kind of typecast as either a security guy or a police officer or some mafia dude, and I played several of those roles several times because of that, and I just embraced it, obviously. And I think in real life I did try to become a police officer at one point and made the cut of the height. But I'm thank God I didn't do that, because that's just crazy. This time and day, talk about safety. I think I'd rather get hurt acting than at a job. But
It's safer. It's safer acting as a cop. All right.
yeah, exactly. You can pretend to be tough. But yeah, as far as acting and training goes, it's really just exploring depths. Do a lot of script reading and just trying out for things that you never have tried. I mean, that was part of it, was just trying to put myself out there and go, I could try it. And if I don't get it, I don't get it, and that's no harm, no foul. I think it's just really practicing and being able to be open and flexible. I think are two of the key words. I think there's people out there that say, well, if it's not a lead, I'm not going to do it. If it's not a villain, I'm not going to play that role. Or if it's not this, or if it's not that. You can't put yourself in a box. I mean, that's the opposite of acting. Yeah. Acting is being able to put yourself in many different boxes and see what fits. And maybe one role didn't feel good for you. Maybe another one did. There's my mentor now. He's a director, Tim Earnhardt, and he makes horror films. I'm not a fan of horror films, but I auditioned for one of the roles that he had, and it was just an office worker, and it was based. I was reached out to one of his leads, and ever since then he's always used me. And his horror films, I'm wearing a mask, right? And it wasn't until the last film that he made, the mask was off. I had speaking lines. I had a role. I played a doctor. I mean, so it's kind of like, just, the thing that I was looking for is his story good? Is his cinematography good? Is the final product good? I'm in. Whatever you need me to be. And that was it. And he ran a small crew, so I would do craft services too. On top of it.
Oh, you just had your hands and everything. No, that's really good.
Yeah, you have to be flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier that you're a family man, right? And I love that concept, because I come from a very big family. So when people prioritize family, I'm like, all right, we're home. Yeah. How did your family respond when you started taking acting very seriously, especially being a family man, having to provide, having to bring in the bacon, right? Talk to us about that balance.
Well, that balance is kind of late in life. I started acting when I was younger, and I didn't meet my wife until it was about 6 years. We have a 5-year-old, so about 6 years now. And so that was different. I mean, I'll tell you one story. I was dating a woman at one point, and she knew I was an actor, and that was disruptive to her path, because she thought, if I'm acting, I'm never going to be home with the kids. I'd be always traveling, which it's kind of a double-edged sword. Thank you for giving me the confidence that I would make it that far. But at the same time, no, I'm not going to neglect the kids if we had kids. We never continued. That was one of the hiccups. But fast forward, understanding how the starving actor perspective is always there. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have that. And so I did, when I went to college, I focused on media, multimedia, communications, which is kind of in line with, filmmaking, and fell into learning and development and started making video and instructional design and curriculum and all that, which was kind of the design part of me that loves that artistic part. And then understanding that I can fall back on that as a career. And when there's chances to make a movie, then I'd try to get time off or try to find a way to do it. And my wife, and this is another key thing, you got to have a supportive family. You have to have a supportive spouse that believes in everything you're doing, because you can't go against the grain. It's just not going to work. My wife was a photographer. I didn't know anything about cameras. And so she taught me. She taught me what the ISO is, aperture, all that, and the lenses. And so she would do photo shoots. And then when we got together, I was in acting. So I was like, hey, we need an extra. We need someone else. We need this. She would go into it. And she loved it. It wasn't her cup of tea,
Nice.
but she would do it. And so we got that relationship and collaboration together. And then later we ended up starting our own production company. So, and
Outstanding.
because of that, we have that support and fulfillment of we both are artistic. And, when she had Evelyn, our firstborn, she put the photography aside, focused on being a mom. It's been a while since I've been on set, since I've had Evelyn. I think the last time was when Evelyn was born. And we actually brought her on set that she can kind of, she doesn't remember any of it. But I think having that supportive family aspect, now Evelyn wants to film stuff. I have made a movie and she was on set and she got to do the slate and she was all excited about that. So it's like embracing them into this atmosphere and having them become more creative and knowing it's safe. And, she's only 5, but we watch The Avengers. We watch all these movies that are for, action packed, but we also watch the behind the scenes. Because I have to explain to her, this isn't real. This is all pretend. When they're fighting, they're not really hitting each other. They're not hurting each other. They have mats. There's training and they practice. And so, we have our little lightsaber fights and that she wants me to film. And so I think we have, all aspects of supportiveness and really kind of opening that door to understand that you can be creative and it's okay to do things and, to act like you're mad in a movie or be a villain. Yeah. But we always have good manners. We know that we don't do that in real life.
Nice. Oh, wow. So it's a family business. And
not yet, but I mean, yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, we've had a lot of discussion on whether or not we want Evelyn to go into acting or any kind of that modeling or anything like that. So we're still kind of feeling it out. I think nowadays, because of AI and image capturing, we've been very cautious on putting her face out there,
Real quick, speaking of actors trying to figure things out, I created a free 5-day actor readiness diagnostic that helps you see exactly what you're missing and what to fix. If you want clarity, grab it at the link below. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah. No, definitely have to be mindful of those things. When we talk about the inner critic, right? You're at a place now where sound and things are moving in the direction that you are actually mapping out with your wife and your family. But before this moment in life, when did you first become aware of your inner critic? Do you still have those moments? And what does it sound like when you're going through that?
I think you always have those moments. I don't think that's ever going to die. I think it's because there is a part of us that it first seeps in by comparing yourself to others. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not, I look at other Asian actors and I'm like, oh, I'm not fast enough, or I wish I would have had more martial arts training, or I wish I would have had this. And that's how it starts going, right? And then and the same thing is when you watch movies, oh, I could do that, or I'd be good in that role, or I could practice. And you'll hear it from friends, oh, you should have been in that movie. The actor was horrible. And you have those balances. The best part for me, what works for me is really honestly, and I have more inner critic with my career than I do acting. And I think it's because I'm involved in my career so much more. But it really is, I have to have a daily habit of listening to affirmations, motivational speeches, things that will kind of pull me out of this depression. I mean, right now the job market's horrible. I've been laid off, I don't know how many times, I lost count. But every time you get laid off, you think, am I not good enough? How come they didn't keep me? You know, it starts going down that road, and you're like, no, I am good enough. Whatever reason they have, it's not part of my reason. I need to reinvent myself and keep pushing forward and keep on learning. Never stop learning. I think that's another thing. Even if you're not taking acting classes, read about it. If you're not, I think there's a misconception that you have to keep on training. Training it's not just classes, especially if you don't have the money for it. But reading about videos or listening to interviews or listening to different perspectives and insights, I think there's so many different avenues and perspectives that will help that inner critic realize you don't have to go in one certain way. You can actually expand out and do what you need to do that fits your life, that fits your personality. And that's the key. I think that's it's a habitual warfare every day to conquer that inner critic. And if you make a habit of trying to be positive or listen or read affirmations or trying to surround yourself with positive people, things, and family, like I tell you, when I go hug my 5-year-old, the last thing I'm thinking of is, oh, I didn't make that audition. The last thing I'm thinking of is, oh, I got laid off. The first thing I'm thinking of is, oh, I got to supply and work for my family. I got to make sure that they're taken care of. That's a priority, And if I find acting is not a money-making thing for me. So, But if I do find a role that's paying, great. If I find something that's not paying, but it looks fun, I'll do it. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And that it's just, if you're practicing in someone's film who is just starting out, just graduated college, which I just did recently 2 months ago, do it. It doesn't hurt,
Does it hurt the person that's already on the roll in their acting career versus the person that's beginning? Because maybe beginner actors are like, oh yeah, I'll just do any and everything. I don't really care about the stakes. But what about those folks that are already intermediate and maybe even senior level in their acting careers? Do you give advice to say, hey, still be flexible, still be open-minded? Or do you understand that at some point it's a money-making business for them? What do you think about that?
I think everyone has different situations and different options. I think obviously you get to a certain level, you have different doors that are open. You have, here in the Pacific Northwest, you have Tom Skerritt, who was in the original Top Gun. That's where most people recognize him. He lives in Washington State. He's been in independent film. I've seen him in independent film. So you get someone who, I mean, I don't know what list, A, B, C, I don't know. But he's well known, right? You have, Julia Roberts' brother, Eric Roberts. He's been in independent film. I've seen him too. So regardless of what level, I think it's up to those individuals. If they want to do independent film, they can do it, I think it's, if they love the work. And I think that's what says to me the most, that they love the work. They're not just looking for Hollywood films. They're actually doing independent films by independent filmmakers. And they're open to that. And they're okay with that. Or the agent, obviously, the agent's the one that's being talked to. But I think at any level, regardless, if you love what you do, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I don't think it's going to hurt you.
So how do you stay grounded? Especially when you're talking about beginner filmmaking and projects. And I know family is a top priority for you. You could care less about certain things, especially when your baby is in your arms. How do you stay grounded given your experience and the fact that you're seasoned at this point?
I think the grounding is really do what you love. And I think I'm still learning that. I told my wife the other day, I heard someone say this, and I don't remember who said it, but they said, find the work that energizes you. If you're doing something and you feel energy after you're done doing it, that's what you should be doing. And I never heard that one before. And I was like, what? then I'm doing the wrong thing in this career. And so that enabled me to go, okay, then this project or this career or this job, I need to pull the plug on because I feel drained. There's nothing left after I'm done. Acting for student role, whatever, small film, that's where I need to plug into because I feel excited about it and I feel good about it afterwards. And I think what I found in the long run is whatever I can do to help other people along the journey, I will do my best to do that because that's what energizes me. That's what keeps me going. I mean, you have a podcast, right? Obviously, this is something that you love to do because you're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just the same type of thing. It's like what keeps you grounded is finding something that you love. That's it. That's as simple as it gets, is find something that you love, that you feel the power and that you can just sit down and the next thing you look up and you're like, oh, wow, did 3 hours just go by?
Wow.
I wasn't even thinking about that, right? That's what you're looking for, to tap into that creative, whatever mindset that it is that involves that. And that will keep you grounded because you love it.
Well said. Well said. We talked about some internal factors, some internal voices that sometimes play against you, right? Have there ever been any external experiences that you've had that maybe put you in a place where you had to recover mentally or emotionally after it happened?
All of the above, yes. The external voices, I had an agent once, but I had a day job. And, at that time, it's way before the pandemic, so there was no video auditions. I would have to leave work, try to make the audition. And I found that it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to my job. It wasn't fair to my agent. And it wasn't fair to me because I felt stressed. And so I said, you know what? Half the auditions you send me, I can't even go. So I don't really find that I'm not being fair to you. I need to just drop you. I can't have an agent. Oh, he ripped me a good one. I mean, it was ego. It came right at me in my face. And he was like, don't you know who I am? I'm associated with such and such production company. I got people in LA. And I'm like, sorry, I can't do it. And I think for a split second you do go, am I making a mistake? Maybe I should stay on. But what kind of relationship is that? You don't want that.
It's unhealthy.
I mean, I wasn't making him thousands of dollars, so it's kind of like, well, where does this kind of influence? Is it because he thought he was all that? I don't know. And then I've had filmmakers, I mean, not really badmouth me, but, there's certain situations where there's a miscommunication. They'll recast the role that I was on. I've had that happen, which makes you go, do I ever want to work with that person again? Like, what happened?
Yeah, that's common.
Is it common? I didn't know that.
It is common, especially starting out when you don't have a reputable name and your name isn't ringing bells, or you look on social media and you don't have thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers. They kind of might discredit you, and casting directors are very prone to looking on social media now to see what type of numbers you could potentially bring into their film or their projects. So yes, it's more often than you think. So
see, that's sad to me. That's sad to hear.
If you're like me, you want clothes that truly speak for you, but finding pieces that are safe, sustainable, and powerful enough to carry the purpose you walk in every day isn't easy. That's why Motivation streetwear brand Vive la Vie Pleinement, also known as VLVP, which means Live Life Fully, was created. Tagged as the brand designed to inspire, they aim to do just that by implementing natural fabrics such as 100% cottons into their pieces that help folks not only look good but feel good inside and out. Created to give you a boost of motivation through their affirmation graphics and bold prints, this isn't just a brand, it's a mindset. Join the club now at www.vlvp.store. Use my code Beyyond You Can Be for 15% off your next order. You're welcome.
I think there is a place for social media, but if you want someone who is seasoned in their craft and knows how to act, that's not going to say anything, especially if they're not Hollywood people, right? If they're not A-list actors or they're not in that scene. If you're just starting out, I mean, it's again, it's the motivation part. I love to act and I love to get in front of the camera and stuff. I'm barely on Instagram. I'm barely on. I don't even know if I have. I think I have a TikTok. I usually read that stuff for news and stuff, but that's it. I don't. Maybe that's why I'm not in LA. I don't know.
But you want to know something, Joe? It's funny because, Netflix, I'm a binger. Like, I'm a binge watcher, right? So I look on Netflix, I'm looking at the actors, I'm searching them up on Instagram. They have like maybe no more than 2,000, 3,000 followers at a time. And then, some time passes because Netflix is growing their audience and then they blow up. But to your point, it's really about the craft. That is why I love film, right? Because I'm a singer as well. So music is completely different from film in a lot of different ways. But it's not about this persona. It's about, can you deliver the story? Can you tell the story in a real, true, authentic way to what is on the script? Can you bring the film writer or screenplay to life, right? And that is why this craft is so dynamic.
Yeah.
So dynamic. So we talked about staying grounded and loving the craft and doing it simply for that. What do you say to those people who are just starting out, right? They don't really know the nuances and the ins and outs of this craft. So they're seeking validation, whether it's from auditions or getting booked or even from their peers and their family. What do you say to them to help them stay grounded?
I think the stay grounded is really about finding your group of people, filmmakers, student filmmakers. Add me on Facebook. If you have a Facebook. It's finding people you can trust and that you feel safe. And I think that's kind of a key word nowadays, is being able to feel safe enough to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Feel safe enough to try different things. Feel safe enough to just, hey, let's make a short film. I think this is, in Washington State, we have a thing called the 48-Hour Film Festival. They're film competitions. And those are the competitions that people will go in and it's just, hey, we're looking for people. And they write a script and they got 48 hours to make a movie. And it's a short film. And at that point, obviously, at 48 hours, it's probably not going to be that great. But you can have fun doing it. You can have fun trying. You can have fun, trying to get into the character real fast and stuff. And just introducing into that aspect of that competition, it adds a little bit of fun pressure. You're not going to lose anything, right? You're not going to be scolded. You're not going to be booed at or anything like that. It's just for fun. And I think finding that safe environment to explore and to be you, that's what you need. I mean, we had films where I had a storyboard artist who's 6'3". I said, hey, do you want to be my boom operator? It's like, yeah. I mean, he was open to it. I'm like, great, let's do it. And then I needed an extra for an ATF agent. Hey, we want to throw this vest on and be in the movie? Yeah. And it's a safe place. It's that point where you just get to explore and try and let's just see what happens. We got nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I try to surround myself with, people who are either starting out or seasoned. The actor that was in my last film, Philip Wheeler, he's in LA. He actually flew down on his own penny to be in my short film. Why? Because we have a relationship. We've built that safe friendship so that, my goal was to understand the film festivals and awards and all that. I said, have you ever won a Best Actor award ever from any of the short films you've been in? He's like, no. I said, that's my goal. We're going to get that for you. And we won 4. So it's that point of saying, let me write something for you that shows your diversification of your role, your arc for your character, because I know you can play it. And we did it. And we won quite a few awards that I was actually surprised and excited about. So it's really, to stay grounded is be surrounded by people who are also grounded. That's the key. I think the biggest word I can say that I've seen a lot of people fall inside this industry, outside this industry, no matter what, is ego. Keep that in check. I think that's the thing. If your inner critic is pumping you up, saying, you're better than them, you're better than this, you don't deserve this, you need to do this role, you need to get paid, shut that down. all that's going to do is ostracize you away from pure, grounded people who just want to make something good.
Well, you answered my last question in terms of if you could give any advice to that person that is dealing with inner critic, that is questioning whether they're good enough and they want to keep going. What would you say?
Figure out who you are first. I think one of the things that I don't hear on a regular basis, especially for men, from a male perspective, guys who are out dating, whatever sex you want to date, before you go into that realm, be by yourself. Get to know yourself. Figure out who you are. Because if you don't do that, when you start dating, you're going to try to be what they want you to be. You're going to try to fit in their shoes of what they see you as. And I think that's one of the things that you have to just, and I know it's painful, I've done it, but try to be single for a year. Just see what happens. Get to know you. Date yourself. Figure out what you like, what movies you want to watch, what books you want to read, what artistic adventures you want. I would go out and I'd try these activity like archery or pottery or just stuff I've never done. I thought I just want to try it. Let's see do I like it or not. And I think it's in college, I don't know, it was an extra program. I took a jewelry making class and really enjoyed it. And that was really strange to me because I was melting down silver, I was crafting it, and then I found out that my grandpa on my Korean side was a jeweler. And I'm like, what? Where does this? So I think there is something there. But if you don't explore yourself, you're really not going to learn about who you are. And that's also going to help you in dating or even roles, because you get to a point where you know what you love and what you want, and you can say no to somebody or no to a role, or you can say, yes, I want to try it. Or, that experience alone is so valuable because that's also going to help you grow as a human being.
You said everything. It's in those moments of stillness where you hear everything clearly. And that is such sound advice that you're giving in terms of getting to know yourself so that you don't fall for anything, right? Joe, this was a great conversation. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your stories, your projects. Speaking of projects, do you have anything exciting coming up?
I have a sequel coming up to my last film, Cousin. If you want to see Cousin, it's on the Downing Cut on YouTube. Just search the Downing Cut and you'll find it. But I'm writing a sequel. We finished, it was a 30-minute short film, which was a little long. And so this next version of it, we take one of the characters and we follow down his path to see how he got to where he is and what's going to happen in that situation. So that's probably going to be, we'll start production in that next year. I'm in the process, I think, because my wife is going to have a baby any day. That process, that takes precedence. And then I got to return back to writing the script and doing the storyboarding and all the concept and stuff like that, which is fun. I love that creative process.
Oh, you have your hand tied everywhere. Family, projects. That's awesome. That's exciting. You got a lot to look forward to. That's awesome. How can the people stay connected with you?
You can Instagram at the Downing Duo is our Instagram page. I have one, S. Joe Downing. You could just actually, S. Joe Downing, you look that up, you'll probably find a bunch of stuff. Just Google that and you'll see it. If you want to get involved in the film community where I'm at in Washington State, add me on Facebook because we got a ton of groups on Facebook. So I know all the young kids don't have Facebook. I'll keep on telling. I ran into several actors who want to go to New York, and I'm like, get a Facebook account, add me. If you want to make movies here, we can do it. So yeah, that's the best way.
Well, you were absolutely great. Thank you so much, Joe, for your time, and we'll see you. And I look forward to following your journey and seeing those projects come out.
Thank you, Beyyond, and I appreciate your time and insight as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.